What's up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video. And today, I want to do a video real quick. I should have shared it on the community tab, but I didn't get a chance to. It's a video to shout out to the Telegram. And also, shout out to Keith, as well as another guy I'll shout out on my next video for the super chat. That shit is always much appreciated, especially with YouTube and this shadow banning bullshit. Like, ah, they didn't completely fucked with my algorithm. It ain't even that I'm getting views. I don't give a shit about that so much. I don't even see channels that I'm subscribed to, like Ramil, Game Changer. If for nothing else, to know that there's panels going on, I can't even see that shit. So I don't know what. There's a way to deal with that, but whatever. Anyway, fuck. Give me a second. Y'all see the title? Very interesting title. It's called "Paying Your Relationship Taxes." And what are relationship taxes? We always say there's only two things that are heir apparent, and that's death and taxes. So I wanted to take that and kind of apply that to relationships. So I'm listening to a video on Game Changers panel. Shout out to Keith, MOT, all the good folks on there. Danielle was on there, acting like the House of Representatives, representing to Congressional Black Female Caucus. Talk about saving the community. Making her case. And then dudes are kind of making their case, typical shit. And a couple of things that were said that I definitely wanted to kind of piggyback on. First thing, well, not the first thing, but I was jumping around. I haven't seen the whole video, so I didn't see it from beginning to end. I started it maybe like halfway through. So the first thing I want to jump on, yeah, what's up, Danielle? I'm about to piggyback. Oh, I'm glad you hearing it. First thing I want to piggyback on is this idea of how many black men are leaving the community. Now, she says that all black men are not leaving the community. It's only a small percentage, and what's called said was rising. So it's not that it's every. Well, first of all, let's properly define what "quote unquote" leave the community is. A black woman will perceive leaving the community as any black man. They perceptually see this not dating a black woman. So when they see their percentage of black women or black men that are dating non-black women is going to be their kind of mental measuring stick, in my opinion, as to the kind of, how they say, like, concentration of anything. The concentration of interracial dating is their perception of how many black men are leaving. And in that case, is it a whole bunch of black men? Like, you would say it's 50% or more than 50%? No, we're not there yet, and we won't be there for a while. So that is technically true. But what a lot of black men do, and this is heir apparent to the complaints that black women give, is that they consider, if you're having casual sex with non-black women, this is why they always use the term dating. Because black men will say, well, for the black men that are married, the majority of black men, 86%, are married to what's considered black in the United States, to a black woman. But then they'll say, if they're being smart about it, that, oh, well, marriages are not the only thing that's representative of like who you all are with. Because, right? And that's true. So they're talking about dating, dating and sex and shit, casual sex and shit like that, because that's speaking to their ability to get the dudes they want. Remember, black women don't really give a fuck about getting dick. They care about the type of dick they get, the type of dudes they get, the type of social status that comes along with it. So here's my point. You have to look at it from a perspective of the top. When I say the top 20% of dudes, what I'm talking about is you have economic value, which is obviously security, the ability to get shit done. You have social value, which usually comes with economic value, but social value can stand on its own sometimes. And then you have what I call dick currency. And Danielle was expressing how, you've never been dickmatized, you don't understand. Which, just to speak to that a little bit, the first time I ever heard what the imprint was from a black woman called Alexis Tyler. Type in Alexis Tyler, ALEX, I believe IS space Tyler. You're gonna see some videos. And type in penis power. You're gonna see some videos that's gonna come up from 2008, 2009, 2011, in the earlier days of the Manosphere on YouTube, even though it wasn't called that. She was in her own thing. This is almost like pre-Tommy Sotomayor coming on YouTube. And she literally looks like, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but she literally looks like somebody that came off of a heroin addiction. And she had this thing called vagina power and penis power, and she would talk. She said the one thing you don't want to do is never let a dude hit your bottom. Because if a dude is capable of hitting your bottom, he fucking owns you. And I was, what, 2008, I'm 33. So I was, what, like 21, 22 at that time. So yeah, about 2022 at that time. So basically, that was my interest. And actually, when I was looking at behavior that not only has I've observed females have for other dudes, I've actually seen behavior that women have had with me. And I'm gonna tell you something. What from the vector, I know I'm jumping around, but when when a black woman really operates in a submissive space with you, it's almost like a puppy wagging their tail, and then it's like everything's about you. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. That shit is weird. For black men that are not brought up with seeing that shit is weird. That shit is not only weird, that shit in many ways is borderline scary because you don't know if you press the wrong button on this machine, if this shit won't kill you. By the way, that's why a lot of niggas get ghosts. So you really don't understand that until you've seen it on the other side. But once you've seen it on the other side and seen that, then you know how to recognize it a lot easier. And that's informed a lot as to why I think the way I think. But anyway, going back, my point is she looked like she came off a heroin addiction. And if you don't believe me, go look at the videos. And this was not an ugly woman. Go look at the videos. And this is back when they were doing a lot of Atlanta YouTube shit. Like they were trying to do the talk show shit. So my point is when she talks about you don't know what good dick can do to a woman, I have an imagination and I've seen it on from the opposite perspective as well, as far as how women treat me once I get pre-qualified and I get into that submissive shit. So I get that from them. So yeah, I can pretty much outline the type of shit that motherfuckers can get away with. It's almost like for those of y'all that may not know, it's like a cheat code with a video game. It really is. It's like inputting the cheat code and just skipping all the bullshit. It really is. So my point is coming back from that to the dick currency, the economic currency, and the social currency. Think of it like a report card. Some dudes may do better in one. Some dudes may do better in two. Some dudes may do better, be a jack of all trades in all three to a certain extent. Those would be, I guess, your masters, your universe BGS talks about. So the point is not the majority of black men. The point is the percentage of black men that are the most valued in those metrics. Hold on one second. The point is in all those metrics, and let's be clear, those metrics, and let's, for simplicity's sake, do economic currency versus dick currency. The dudes that are good at one of those metrics or the other of those metrics or both, those dudes are the ones that are leaving. Those dudes that can't exercise their options are. Now, just to give you an idea of numbers, if you're a black man and you make $50,000 a year, you are in the top 20% of black men. Top 20. If you're a black man and makes $100,000 a year, you are in the top 3% of black men. Now, we already understand per black demographics and all your other data you're going to look up that by the time black men get to the point of adulthood or 25, 26, where they're going to be making these numbers, like you have a like 45 or 44 to like 56% when it comes to women. We're not even talking about the women, removing women that are obese, overweight, and all of that. They all think they are owed a dude. The competition, we're not even talking about the older women that think they want to get younger dudes, what actually amplifies that overall number. The point is, you have a small percentage of men, a very small percentage of men that these females are really vying after. It's not every man. And some of these have varying degrees, but this is why it's often been said that 7% women are really chasing after 7% of dudes. This is why black men know, because these kids are still being born as if it's a 1-to-1 ratio. This is why we know there's a hell of a lot of man sharing going on. A hell of a lot of man sharing. And that's another point that I'm going to talk about too, because I was in there too. But the point is, it's not, and this is where context comes into play. It's not about being right, it's about being accurate. The point is, we know that based on the complaints that women give, that they're talking about a percentage of dudes that they overperform in the term of dick currency or economic currency or both, that they don't have access to, because those dudes, they have to compete with every female. Black, white, older, younger, race, international, these dudes have access to a different pipeline. It's kind of like being a certified investor versus like somebody just tapping into it. You can do more shit. So they complain about the power because black women have a fundamental issue with black men having the ability to choose. Black women have an issue with black male choice. They believe in what I call relationship welfare, where dudes should be forced. They believe that men that they value should be forced to deal with them. Fundamentally, they believe this. It may be varying degrees to it, but they fundamentally believe that if they could use the government to retroactively create that situation focused on black men that they want, they would do it. Also, when you look at economic currency is not just about the women, the men that they want. It's also about the chase and the pursuit. Like a river, when you are dating or interacting with a female, it is customary to spend money on a female, aka a date, aka Valentine's Day, what have you. People still operate on that even a little bit. The point is, even if it's tricking, the point is, if men are looking for other women and not looking for you, then those economics get removed. To give you a perfect example, outside of black people, white women that are fat have this problem. They don't have the same economics, energy pushed onto them that other women will have because they're not valued. This is also a reason why brunettes like to be blonde. This is where the blonde girls have more fun shit comes from. So this is not something that's just exclusive to the black community. Even in the Latin American culture, you see this when it comes to Afro-Latinas versus what you would consider a traditional Latina. What's her name? Gina Torres has said they want Latinas that are not as much Afro, but are more Italian looking. And that speaks to the energy, the economic energy that those women are able to receive from that particular community. Notice that she considered herself a Latina first, not black, even though she was married to Lawrence Fishburne. And that didn't stop her from getting with that white man after the fact. The point is, this speaks to the mentality that they're in. Yeah, Alexis K. Tyler. No, I hear what you're saying. This is not me about saying you're wrong. I'm expanding on it. The point is, the complaints are from, you're also seeing it rising amongst the general black pop community as far as men. But the point is, where the pain is really felt is in the top 20%, the top 25% of those dudes. Because those dudes that are able, also where the pain is being felt, and I would call this the second class dudes, are the dudes, the insurance package that women can go back. So they want to have a baby with a nigga, with whatever nigga they want based on dick currency and whatever, because they're women are animals. They can't just dissimulate a dude that ain't gonna be shit from them. This is what I always say. Dudes are never having an argument about who you're having sex with. We're having an argument that we're not raising somebody else's kid. So by definition, the fact that we're usually at a starting point of being a stepfather, that is really a non-starter, because it's not dudes because most patriarchal dudes would say they want to know where you've been, let alone not raising a kid. With black men, we're most black men are willing to even give you that, but it's still seen as we're being misogynist and all that. Anyway, the point is, the second class of dudes that will be stepfathers and shit like that, that shit is a more general black men community. And those dudes aren't doing that anymore for the most part. That's being seen as you selling out or you settling for less than what you can have. That's why the stepdaddy market has been decimated compared to what it was 20 years ago, because the new generation is not doing that. And quite frankly, the women of today, they don't want to get into that type of relationship half the time till like north of fucking 35 or north of 30. So the dudes that can get females, why would you invest in a female like that when the way the laws are structured, the more you cohabitate with a woman, the more you're at risk for getting a FTD, which I call a financially transmitted disease. Why would you do that? And these laws are never looked at as to why they don't get the outcomes that they want, because if it's not safe for dudes to do something, they're not going to do something. They're not going to do it, especially if they have options. Remember what I've always said. It doesn't matter. What matters is what a man can do, and also matters what a man will do. And usually, if a man can do something, he will do something. That's a lot of that is human nature. So that's where the complaints are for that. Now, second thing I want to talk about is the 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 man sharing. It it's not a secret. Black men are very aware, either because they've been able to benefit from it, or that they outright see it, that black women share dick. And they don't really have a problem with doing it. The home wrecker culture that black women have is actually a perfect example of that. Black women usually try to pawn the blame off on cheating on men, as if there's not females that are sexually attracted to dudes that are in relationships just because. Same nigga, not in a relationship, because they have this unhealthy form of pre-qualification to where they want to take another bitch's man. They get off on that. They get off on it. And black women have never really addressed that as a sisterhood on their own. And there's a lot of black men that benefit from it. And on the flip side, there's a lot of women in the corporate, I've seen this in corporate America, where they gleefully pass a dude around like a hoe. This is why they always like to say he a hoe. Because that comes from them man sharing. Just like a woman will be shared by a whole bunch of dudes, that's really masculine in how these females think. That's why really black women are only women that you really hear use that phraseology of calling a man a hoe. You don't really hear that, or that shit comes from them. If they got it from a black woman, you hear other people saying it. So you see this in how these kids are being reared. This is why you can have 53% of black men not having kids, but still have almost the same amount of kids, because you have a lot of dudes that are sperm sharing. Here's my thing. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Black women just need to be more honest about the polygamous nature that they have. I would argue black women are the most polygamous women in the world, because of the matriarchal nature that have a lot of them come from. Unless Islam kind of got like removed that to a certain extent. The problem that black women have, even Irene Yvette spoke to that. The problem that black women have is black women have an ego problem. Their ego does not allow them to be because if you are being shared, if of a man, it's hard in society to justify that a man isn't running you if you're not the only female. Because in the black community, a woman possesses a man. A man does not possess a woman. This is the mindset that black people operate on, hence why it's important to understand the dynamics of gynocracy. But the point is, as an ego, it's like you having a slave and a slave being a runaway slave, so it's seen as it looks bad on you. So women have this ego issue where they like to pretend like they the bad bitch, they got pussy, the dudes just got to be obsessed with them, you know. So that runs interference with how they're clearly operating. If they want to deal with 7% of dudes or 8%, that's cool. But there is this back and forth about it that doesn't really connect. Also, what you have to understand is a lot of dudes, because see, here's the thing, when I say dealing with top percentage, I'm talking about preferences. That has nothing to do with these dudes being better men. There's a lot of black women that they will date a white man just for the sake of him being white, and they'll say that he's better just because that man can validate him her in a way that a black man can't, because of how this society is organized. Because let's be clear here, nobody would actually say that the average white man has the same amount of sexual prowess as the average black man. Not even white women wouldn't say that. Nobody would say that. Hell, damn near white men have conceded that. Yet it's still valued. So it's not about better men. And this is where people get fucked up with Ron Will's work. It's not about who's better or who's not better. It's about preference, and preferences are based on psychological imprints. Even homosexual preferences, aka a lot of these females going on the lesbo shit, is a lot of that is based on imprints. It's not based on you being born that way. It's not. It's not. That's why you see people going both ways and all this confusion, because it's not anchored in that. It's not nature. So anyway, the point to all of that is that as far as the man sharing goes, like I said before, women are not honest about who they are and what they're about. And this is the other part I was going to say. If dudes realize that they're not your preference, they're not going to even try. They're going to invest in other women. They're going to pursue other women. There's a certain amount of investment as far as time, energy, attention that goes along with that. This is why I always tell dudes, fuck with who fucks with you. Do not fuck with females that don't fuck with you. It doesn't matter. If you're a nice guy or you're whatever, and majority of black women are not fucking with you, that's their right to not fuck with you. You need to fuck with who fucks with you. Because that's how you get the best efficiency into your time, money, and energy. And quite frankly, your quality of life. You chasing females that don't want you, and all women are not the same. And black women, you can break down in like 5 different parts. You can break down the Southern Belle. You can break down the Ratchet. You can break down the Valley Girl. You can break them down. But my point is, dudes have this thing about you're pro-black if you only exclusively fuck with black women. This is why I say being pro-black is not that much different in many ways. What grounds most black, I'll say it this way. What grounds most black people in being pro-black is the same thing that grounds most gay people in being pro-gay. They are sexually attracted to the same sex, therefore they are gay, and therefore they are pro that. Black people are sexually attracted to other black people, black, as far as heterosexually, and therefore they consider that being pro-black. Because when you always talk about it, that's always the metric that is basically the most validated metric. Are you fucking black women, and only black women? Oh, another thing I'm gonna say about the rising thing about black men leaving is black men are not swearing off black women. They're not saying that I am not fucking with black women, period. Yeah, that's a smaller percentage of dudes, and that's starting to increase. But real talk, most black men are fucking with every female that strikes their fancy. So they're fucking with Latins, mixed chicks, white chicks. They are what I call supplementing. And because black women don't have exclusive rights, that's what they're complaining about, because exclusive rights come with exclusive privileges. And black men are not the only men to do this. I mean, even white men do this. So every man does this. But black women have a certain particular ego where they actually believe, because they believe they own their men like slaves, that they are owed exclusivity. That's what they believe. They believe they're owed it. Could be the most treacherous bitches out of everybody, but they believe they're owed it. So those are some of the things I want to address from that video. It is what it is. Oh, I didn't even talk about the original video. The original video, as far as what's about, as far as why I title it that, is you got to pay your relationship taxes. Meaning, I'm gonna say it this way: if let's say you're a man, you're a guy, and you like crazy bitches, you like the Cardi B bitch type. That's cool. But I don't want to hear nothing about you getting upset about what a crazy bitch does. I don't want to hear your complaints. Yeah, man, crazy bitches got the best pussy. That's cool, but you playing Russian roulette. And I've told dudes this. I say, don't ever tell me that dumb shit. Because if you once you tell me that, I don't want to hear shit about her letting the air out your tires and doing kind. I don't want to hear it. Because at the end of the day, no matter how fucked up it is, you chose to deal with that. And most dudes are not gonna entertain that shit. Most dudes do not entertain black men being complain about all women off some shit that they know they want to deal with. And it's the same thing in reverse. It doesn't matter how good the quote unquote dick is. Doesn't matter how dickmatized you get. That's your fault. I don't care if a dude beats your ass. And I'm dead ass serious. Because I've stated this before. If he hits you once and you go back because the dick is good, if he hits you again, then that's part of the package that you bought and you like it. Not saying it's right, but at the end of the day, like Keith was saying, it's Darwinism that if you walk into that, and let's be real clear about this. A lot of women weigh being alone and being single with being in a relationship, and they weigh the good and the bad, and if the good outweighs the bad enough to where it's better to stay in that relationship, it doesn't matter what the bad is, they will stay in that relationship. Now what they think they can do is after the fact they can tell the next guy or tell the class, the crowd, that all these things this dude did, but at the end of the day you stayed. So what that means is all that abuse was never to the point where you just needed to restart. And so I have a little sympathy for that shit because we're not in the age where women don't have options. We're not. We're fucking not, especially now. And let's keep it real. Good dick will make a woman more. It's just like how dudes will deal with a whole bunch of extra crazy shit for females if the pussy's good, and they're rolling the dice with that. Same thing dudes do. I mean, women do. But women think they can get a pass. They think that folks are supposed to feel sorry for them off decisions they made. And I also look at being quote unquote stigmatized like you doing drugs. Like it's the same thing with food. Food is very good. It's gluttony. If you don't understand, if you don't know how to handle that, obviously seven deadly sins is mainly about overindulgence on certain things. But you're going to be fat. That's a choice. You give a fuck about the excuses black women want to make about big bones, about they got um, um, a hormone issue. Shut the fuck up. Get the fuck out of my face. It's a choice. Same thing with sex. How you choose sex is a powerful thing. How you choose to engage in it and deal with it is can very much so define who the fuck you are. And by the way, you don't get second or third chances. You get imprinted. Breaking an imprint is like going through withdrawal, and it will fuck you up, and you will get an emotional scar from doing it. I understand that the women don't do a good job telling the little girls this shit, because this should be a part of sex education. But it is just like when you're on drugs. It doesn't matter if you're clean. You're forever tainted. If you're doing heroin or crystal meth, you're forever tainted. You get an STD, you're forever tainted. You don't get to have a redo. And black people have way too much of a redo culture, not a zero tolerance culture. Not a culture of you do this, you're out. There's nothing else to talk about. So women go through this conveyor belt like buzz saw where they're playing with sex. And dudes are doing it too via child support, but dudes already have their consequences. And then dudes are out here listening to these chicks, believing in these chicks. And by the way, let me say this too when it comes to relationship taxes. If you believe a story from a female, you deserve everything that female does to you. You deserve everything she does to you because at the end of the day, you chose to walk into that situation with eyes wide open. You can choose to put on sunglasses, aka rose colored glasses, if you want to. But you want to, play with people that are single mothers, you want to do all that shit, that's your choice. And I'm not saying I wish bad upon you. I don't want to fucking hear it though. Because that was a choice.
You need to pay your relationship taxes and hold that L because you knew what you were doing. A lot of dudes think they can bargain basement pussy shop and get a better bitch, at a discount because now she needs security more. No, go younger. And if you don't want to do that, that's cool. But I don't want to fucking hear it. Anyway, see what y'all talking about. What's up, Pharaoh? What's up, Sam? I am Roast Master. BGS agreed, and I said, like I said, George, this wasn't about me counteracting you. This is about me taking the time to expand what you were talking about a little bit more. They never used Mary because they can't get an exaggerated number. Yep. But one thing that they often talk about, Big Game Earthal James, is that if you look at like the NBA, that like majority of black men are with non-black women. And one thing that Steve Jackson proved is that's not true. You got black men that are arguably impregnating and dealing out resources to more than even one black woman. So that's actually not true. What was when that gets said. Tariq used to play her videos all the time. Yeah, Alan Roger Curry interviewed her twice. My point is, I want people to understand is not only did this shit go way back, but this is not. Oh, you're just hearing shit from dudes, and the shit you saying is just from dudes. No, this is why when dudes like Amiri Brown and shit like that, like the motherfuckers try to act like everything we just pulling from dudes. That's not true. That's not true, man. CD, haha, they call it Thousand Mile Stare. Alexis X definitely has that empty structure. She does have it, and she tried to find it with being extra hotepery spiritual to the fucking Black Earth Mother Goddess Queen shit. But you can't fix that. And that's the thing that a lot of women, that's the tragedy of it, is if you're a female and you're young and you get imprinted, like this is another thing you got to look at. Human beings, for the human beings up until like the last, 100 years, only lived to be about 40, 45, 50 years, 40, 50 years old. Human beings did not live that old. That's why most of the people you hear that lived to like 60, they were famous or they were rich. So they lived a different lifestyle. So when you actually look at, the time frame, a big part of why people can have kids later is because we're older. But back then that would have been unheard of. So having a kid at age, people talk about, well, the reason why women had kids at 16, 17, 18, is because of patriarchy. No, it's because motherfuckers didn't live that long, dumbass. So the reality is, when you look at the when your chemicals and hormones, testosterone for dudes, obviously estrogen, just basically the hyper bonding is in like your what, really like between 16 and like 22. That shit is like that for a reason. Because we were never, I'm not saying supposed to, but it was never seen that we would live this long. But people never talk about that angle because they always have a political agenda by which they want to speak. So, when you understand it, because if you look at your first love, your crush and stuff, that is hyper bonding. That is like when the bonding is strongest. So you remember those relationships. People think because they're first, that's why they remember. That's partly true, but also part of true is because that's where your strongest bonding hormones are. And that's what that imprint was actually for. Now what happens is you got females that are trying to have kids later and trying to play with sex, and they're getting imprinted. And a big reason, because this is another thing that Danielle didn't talk about, a big reason why these women like certain dudes is because they were imprinted by those dudes. They would like white dudes if they were imprinted by white dudes. This is why women I believe women when they say, oh, I'm not sexually attracted to a white dude. I can believe that. Some of them are lying. But I can believe that because they weren't imprinted by them. Or the women that seem like they're weirdly attracted to white men, even though that's completely outside of like, should be who they are. Like they are not mapped out in any kind of way to be like that. It's because they were probably imprinted by it. Same thing with women always like to play around the gay shit. They were imprinted by it. And a lot of it, they were psychologically imprinted by it too. This is why motherfuckers use the term like turning people out and shit like that. That's a form of imprinting.
But that's some shit we don't talk about. That's some shit we do not talk about. You know, you don't break that shit down. And see, all this shit is always in the back of my mind. You know, because y'all know the videos I do my videos off the fucking cuff. So all this shit is in the back of my mind when motherfuckers are trying to talk to me. So when they come and they talk about all this, but this, but that, but this, these angles have already been considered by me for a long time. So, but the point is, you have women walking around with an imprint and they don't have a fucking clue on what an imprint is. And that's their mother's fault for not teaching them that. Because it's really on women to teach other women the power of sex. There's only so much dudes can do as far as educating females. So, so what you have is all these females that are basically, you know, playing with a loaded gun. And then they're basically being emotionally and psychologically, they're being psychologically or emotionally destroyed or ruined. And like I always tell people, because people like to frame, oh, nigga, you just saying that because you mad. Okay, so let's remove all black people that don't have kids, black men in particular. Let's remove them. And let's only talk about black men that have children. What does the black community look like? Does the black community look like a whole bunch of cooperation between black women or black men? In fact, it actually is worse. The black community actually looks worse once you filter out all those dudes. So we know, and these are women that gave babies to dudes. So we know it's not just a matter of you're just mad because you don't get that. That's not what it is. Yeah. And what it is the fact that women are not even know. It's like doing cigarettes, and they didn't let you know, because they didn't let people know about the nicotine for the longest time with cigarettes. So people would just love cigarettes, and they wouldn't really know why they like cigarettes. That's when it became a big deal when they said cigarettes were addictive, because you didn't know. The human brain cannot account for something because you're not aware of it. This is why they say that the best lie the devil ever told was that it doesn't exist. Because if you can't account for something, then you are the most vulnerable to it, because your brain is not even in your brain's like scope, what consciously or subconsciously, because you don't understand what you're dealing with. And then all these complaints, this is why I keep saying people are complicit in their bullshit. So anyway, but that's what it is, man. So it is what it is. And at the end of the day, this is why when it comes to relationships and dating, I'm a libertarian. I'm about the market. Even when it comes to tricking, I'm a libertarian. I'm about people doing what they can to get away with what they can do, because at the end of the day, that is the only real checks and balance that you have. I mean, let's be honest. Like, there are no more checks and balances in the black community. That's why we're in a gynocracy. The checks and balances is dudes doing what's in their best interest and being unapologetic about it. Because that's the only thing collectively that's going to check that chick. And even though it's a small percentage of dudes that are openly declaring it, the reality is dudes that have had options have been exercising them. You got to remember, Danielle is in the deep south. So the option, she's not going to be limited. The dudes are not, the type of motherfuckers she can deal, type of motherfuckers the men that she dealing with have access to is not the same. I'm in North Carolina. It's not the same as somebody in Chicago or New York. So it's or the West Coast. So her, and this isn't about her, but I'm just giving an example. A lot of the regions where these people are, it informs their reality. And they don't ever say, okay, I'm in this region, so a lot of what I'm experiencing is going to be predicated on what my environment is. So when you this is why most of your colorism queens are out of fucking the West Coast. Because that's one of the worst dating markets for black women. Because dudes have the easiest access to other women. And all that, this is why they get so angry half the time. So, and that's a lot, most of them do, some of them don't. You got even women like Elise who say, yeah, I dated a white man, and he just wanted to change me. Yeah, because that's what it is. You are not, it seems like you're not culturally compatible. That's all that is. But at the same time, men and women have different looks. First of all, men don't change. Women don't try to change men like that. Like, white women are not out here trying to change black men. That's not how that works. And if white women or non-black women are fetishizing black men, they're not even interested in changing them because they're for the fetish. But here's what they don't tell you: black women fetishize black men too. Let's be clear here. People will say, well, you know, black women don't try to change black men. That's bullshit, because black women want a particular type of dude and they sexually validate a particular type of dude as a group. So you damn right. I would argue that nobody fetishes black men more than black women. Exactly, Xanatos. You know, and I ain't trying to broadcast her the state that she's in. I said the Deep South, you can do the math. It's only a couple of states that can do that. And it's clearly not Florida. So at the end of the day, that's what informs that. Because when you put them in, and this is not always true, because even in Philly, you got women that operate a certain type of way as well. So there are exceptions. But even in DC, motherfuckers got options. And dudes, and you're not gonna sit here and deal with a certain type of shit when other folks are acting like they got some sense. But I'm not out here, and that's why when people always try to say, oh, you're mad. I'm like, I'm not discussing this because I'm mad. I don't really care what they choose. The point, though, is this idea that it's everybody's fault when you made a decision. You keep making the decision. That's my fault. And my fault is for these dudes to actually be believing these chicks. They actually be believing the shit they say. They be feeling sorry. Remember what I said? I said that guilt and that ego shit. Dudes be really feeling guilty. Yeah, man, you ain't gotta do that, man. You ain't gotta pump it up, man. You need to take care of that baby, man. Because they be believing the narrative that black men don't take care of their kids, that black men just abandon. That these women are like bright-eyed, and they're a thought because a dude made them a thought. They be believing that shit. And a lot of folks underestimated how many dudes actually believe that bullshit. Like, and I'm gonna tell you something about Danielle. You know who I love for Danielle to talk to? I would love put Danielle on the same panel as fucking Amiri Brown, and you'll see how Amiri will be trying to agree with her even when she know what she's saying. She putting out there is bullshit, because that's who Amiri is. You one of them niggas. And you switch two of them people out of that panel, and then you would have motherfuckers, they just agree just because she got a vagina. That's how a lot of these dudes are. And these are the dudes. That's what I was talking about last night. Motherfuckers, they be agreeing with these chicks just because they women. The shit don't, and I'm not saying the shit Danielle's saying is like completely off the wall, but the thing about her is she does what I call DEFCON 3 fuckery, which Danielle is very good at doing what I call saving face. She is very good at allowing a black man to save face and putting shit out there, and so to the point where a black man could kind of feel like he still won even though he did it. That's a very old school way of how black women used to interact with black men, and it's actually a big reason why a lot of these niggas didn't check these chicks earlier, because they didn't really, because it's very subtle and it's a lost art. Most black women don't have that art, but it's still a way of subverting people if you don't know how to recognize it. And usually how I approach a situation like that, it's like, okay, do I really give a damn about this conversation? Do I really care? Yeah, so y'all need to peep that. And I'm not trying to say that it's mean, but a lot of dudes don't recognize that shit. So what they do is they sit there and they bite on that shit. They really do. And I see it all the time. Yeah, you know, and they don't even realize it. They don't even realize how much they be biting it out. And it's very obvious when she's putting it out there. That's why if you ever see me on there breaking like their channel, her Concrete Girls channel, I'll even telegraph that that's what she's doing without telegraphing. I'm like, nigga, don't do it. When you ever hear me say, nigga, don't do it. Don't do it. You fucking up. Don't bite. That's what I'm talking about. And they be biting on that shit almost like at a 60% rate. I just don't be saying, I just be wanting to blow somebody's spot completely up and just snitch the game out. But I be seeing that shit come like I won't say a mile away, but I see it coming. I'm like, oh, you dumb nigga. Don't do it. You about to fall for it. I be like, what dude on Star Wars, like, it's a trap. And these niggas be falling for that shit, man. They be falling for it. Yeah, so anyway, and it's not about me wanting to be combative, but these dudes don't be they don't be seeing it. It be funny to me, man. But anyway, we have to protect our queens. First of all, how do you determine every black female ain't a queen? So when somebody says that, even if I'm willing to engage in that shit, which half the time I'm not, I'll say, okay, so give me an example of a black woman you would consider a queen. And they just say any random shit because they ain't never thought of it. You could tell they've never thought about it. So they don't have a frame of reference of actually what a black queen is. You don't know my story. Everybody has a story. But you know what also is in the story? All the decisions they could have made that they didn't make. You know, that's what they don't want to tell you. They always try to frame, you don't know my story, like, I need to tell you what I need to tell you. This is why I always tell Africans. We lie to each other. We game each other so much, so we damn sure know when y'all doing it. You don't know my story. I don't need to know your story. I know your outcomes. End of. Black men need to build. For who? For what? First of all, people kill me with that build shit. I'm like, me building ain't gonna mean you gonna act like you need to act. You can't tell Robert Smith ain't built shit, but he still got divorced, so building shit don't mean shit. Anyway. And see, Xanatos, I'm glad Xanatos on here because this is the thing that people don't talk about. You are a novelty. Your ability, you can be a see again, that Pookie shit is some black female preference shit. That's why Nicki Minaj, who is she with? That's some shit that's like, here's the thing. Take Nicki Minaj for example. Can you honestly tell me that Nicki Minaj is with a better dude? She literally, you know, she was with Safari for X amount of years, right? And let's be clear here, that dude helped write a lot of her shit. Then she thought she was gonna upgrade from this nigga, and go to Meek Mill. Meek Mill's in a relationship, kid, moving on with his life, and then she downgraded. And you can see that in many other situations. Their choice, they are not choosing the quote. If we're gonna talk about, because better man is subjective, right? So if we're gonna say, well, you can't really quantify a better man, well, look at the outcomes. The better man is based on the woman that has the best outcomes, have the best outcomes. So can you honestly tell me that by those metrics, or by that logic, a lot of these women are quote unquote getting the better man or winning in these better situations? You can't say that because they're doing the majority of the complaints. So
Steven Jackson did build shit. What's up, Vern? Exactly, Xanatos. And the thing about it is, people will say, "Well, you didn't." It's funny because take a dude like Lawrence, for example. Lawrence physically has all the metrics, the height, all of that shit, right? I mean, I'm just talking you know what the metrics are, the height, this, the job, the money, all of that. But it's the women he's pursuing that's going to dictate what his value is. His value should never be predicated on what the females are on because they don't know shit as pertaining to their own outcomes. And then, see, they're looking at, see, these females are searching for good, like as Danielle said, these females are searching for good dick. They're not searching, but black women only, see, white women, and she has stated this and she's right, white women will get security, then cheat to get the dick. Women will get the dick and then try to cheat to get the security. That's how black women operate. But none of that has to do with what a man is. That has everything to do with the need. That's why when people talk about trigger, they talk about, yeah, man, she don't really want you. She wants your money. Well, that's no different than saying she don't really want you, she wants your dick. Because if that shit stops working, guess the fuck what? She ain't gonna give a fuck about you. Or when she gets that kid out of you, guess and some real struggle starts happening because really the baby shit ain't what they blame them for. What they blame these dudes for a lot of times is the fact that their bodies got fucked up after having a kid, and then these niggas are still fucking other bitches. That's really where a lot of these dudes get mad about. And folks don't never want to be honest about that shit. So once your value, once your liabilities that you created outweighs your value to that woman, they don't give a fuck about you either. It's just that, you know, dudes are, you're getting a biological need served in sex. So the perception is that a dude is winning. It's just like if you were to take a dude that can get any kind of food he wants because he knows how to cook, you wouldn't say that dude off gate is a better man than a dude that has money and can buy food just because he knows how to cook. You wouldn't say that. But with women, black men have this religion about that woman gets to dictate who are the better men. And that is some beta shit in and of itself, because men are who's supposed to determine who are the alphas, not females. But black men defer that to females. That's why a lot of dudes don't really like if dudes vote for a dude to lead in a particular activity, it's always some hating ass niggas. But let a bitch decide it and she controls the situation, then dudes generally will adhere to that ruling. That's how fucked up black men are. And so Xanatos was moving from one place to another. He moved to a different culture. It wasn't about the environment, it was about the culture of women. And unfortunately, a lot of dudes don't even recognize that shit. It really is. And you know what? Issa Rae married an African. Well, you know what? I ain't got no issue with Issa Rae. Serena should have did that shit. That's why when Paris always is talking about Paris is always talking about, oh, get you an African. I'm like, dude, like black men don't care. See, the problem is you all are trying to get other dudes because you all legit trying to make black men jealous. Black men really don't give a shit. If we're gonna be completely honest about the situation, they don't really care. But anyway, yeah, it's been great. Shout out, like, if y'all are not seeing my videos, it is what it is. You know, it's unfortunate. I don't know if it's with this coronavirus, YouTube algorithm. I'm gonna still make the shit. And it is what it is, but you know how it is, man. Shout out to the super shout out to the Prentice gave me a $25 cash out. That shit is much appreciated. So, yeah. Yeah, they do. They project a lot of stuff, Archer. They do think we operate like them. It really is, CD. It is dysfunctional as hell. And that's some shit that black men gotta own. The older generations try to pawn that off, and it's sad. It really is. Because when you see it, this is why when people always want to act like, oh, you just jump on women. No, I don't, man. And a lot of dudes, you still don't hear enough dudes really talking about this shit. But anyway, appreciate it, y'all. Definitely check out that video. I'll put it on the community tab. And with that being said, I hope y'all are staying safe. You know, with all this crazy shit, this corona shit. You know, shout out to that Trump check. You niggas better not go to the strip club. You niggas better not spend that Trump check on a bitch. Nigga, you're fired. Real estate's getting cheaper. Cars are getting cheaper. You know, you people got debt. I hope y'all don't owe child support. I mean, I'm not laughing because that's fucked up, but, you know, it is what it is. With that being said, this is Edward signing off. Peace.